Hey everybody, Fully here for the monthly news recap for the 16th of October to the 12th of November 2023. So we have quite a lot to catch up on because I have been off for the last 2 weeks, and then the week just gone was spent mostly just recovering, which I still haven't because I've picked up a cold I think at some point. And the week before we went, we didn't actually get to do a weekly news recap, so we got 4 weeks. They got 4 weeks of news that we need to catch up on, so let's get to it. So, the week that I left, Dread XP as well as IGN and Game Trailers all had a indie world showcase, indie horror showcase for 2023. It's like a 4-hour stream, so we're not going to go over every game they showed off, but I'm going to show you a couple of the ones that I thought were interesting. And this is mostly going to be games that haven't been shown off before, or it's been a while since they've been shown off. So this is Numata. It's a first-person survival horror type thing. I'm gonna be honest, I don't remember much about it because it was a while since I've seen this. I did put it on my wish list, so clearly I liked something about it. Probably not that guy, he's pretty gross. Alright, so we're out in a creepy woods, creepy cabin, some graffito. Actually, okay, this is probably what I liked about it. There's got a little bit of Resi 7, Resi 8 to it. Looks like it's a bit more visceral. The gunplay was fairly fast there, but I think that was kind of the deal. Yeah, it's like it's a Resident Evil 7, Resident Evil first-person Resident Evil type thing. Hopefully it'll have its own identity, but I think that's what I liked about the look of it. I don't think it has a release date or anything like that. Numata. Coming soon. So who knows? Eventually, I guess. Beneath, another survival-y horror type thing. This time you are underwater. And you have a better gun, at least. So first-person horror tones. I think I liked it because it had a bit of a Fear vibe to it. Whereas Fear was all sort of installations and warehouses and military complexes and stuff. Beneath looks like it's more of a underwater installations kind of thing. It's just a little bit different, but yeah, it's got the Fear vibes, plus it's got this mini Cthulhu bro running about the place. I thought it looked interesting. The trailer's fairly short. It's like less than a minute, and I don't think there was a trailer, and it's gone now, or a release date rather, there wasn't. Hello Cruel World. I think this was a fixed camera angle type deal, so like very old survival horror, which is kind of what I enjoyed looking about it. This could be a different game I'm thinking of. It may have just been the title I thought was funny. Alright, so we've got another secret lab, military complex type deal. We got mostly just a run through of the environments, not a whole lot of gameplay going on. I did add it to my wish list, so that, oh, okay, yeah, this is the one where you get a fake arm. I do remember this now. Yeah, this was kind of interesting. I think I have seen a different trailer of this before. You can see in the background scary monsters and stuff like that. I must have seen a different trailer for that at some point. But it looked interesting. Right. Go Home Annie has a bit of... It's got a bit of PT to it, and it's got a bit of Fear to it as well. It's got a kind of circular storytelling kind of thing to it. It's SCP deal. Some scary shenanigans going on. Got this weird moose that has a very big mouth. Or no jaw, not sure. One or the other. Who knows? And now he's looking at you. Go home, Annie. Alright. SCP type deal. 2024, next year at some point. Coming to pretty much everything on PC at least. Samurai Unicorn, I think I got just because of the name. The name sounded really good. I'm like, yeah, I'm here. I'm here for that. It's got a bit of a old style Resi to it. It's got a little bit of Metal Gear Solid, the original, as well. So think of like Resi 4 demake. PS1 Resident Evil 4 is kind of what we're going for here. Although the PS1 could never. The PS1 wishes it could do this. It's like PS2 with bad graphics, more or less. Anyway, yeah, it looks interesting. Gross. Samurai Unicorn. I shouldn't do that. I shouldn't do that the way my throat is right now. Anyway, coming to Steam some point. Who knows? Janet de Mornay is a slumlord and a witch. This looks like streamer fodder, to be honest, but I kind of liked the concept of the idea. So, as it says there, it's an escape room horror comedy thing. You are a tenant of de Mornay, and she's wanting to come over to check on the flat, but it's really just a ruse for you to invite her in so she can kill you, kind of thing. So it's you sort of coming up with different ways to not invite her in, / hide from her and stuff like that. Yeah, it's a very funny sounding thing. Anyway, I'm not sure when that is out. Again, skip ahead. Next year at some point. All right, Heartworm. Okay, so Heartworm is the fixed camera angle, old style survival horror type thing. I have read recently that the development of this has had to halt for a bit because of financial issues and health issues from the developer. So we're not sure when exactly we'll actually see this. But I do like its presentation. You know, we were seeing a lot of PS1 throwbacks now. And as I've brought up on this a couple of different streams, and that's mostly because the people who would have grown up on this style of game, they're now in position, they're in like game director positions and stuff like that, where they can start pushing this kind of thing. Or indie developers have, you know, feel like they're doing well enough in their craft that they can push for this kind of game now. That's why it's happening. Give it 10 years, you'll start seeing PS2 remakes or throwbacks and stuff like that. I imagine. Anyway, looks interesting to me. 1000X Resist had an interesting art direction and presentation. It's kind of got me hooked. I think the idea is you are in like an underground bunker. The top world has all been like kind of destroyed. There's like an alien virus or parasite going around. And you're kind of down here trying to survive, but maybe it's found its way in, kind of thing. I just like its presentation. You can see outside of the sketch work that it's got what was it called? El Shaddai kind of look to it, and a bit of a Fury look to it as well, which is kind of I quite liked. Full Fathom, you are in this submarine underwater, obviously. Why would you? You're not going to meet a submarine in the air. This submarine is gradually collapsing. It's gradually losing its integrity. You're trying to keep it alive, well, you know, so it'll keep you alive, and also exploring the underwater areas and stuff like that. Yeah, it's an interesting concept that I quite like, and it reminds me a little bit of Far Changing Tides, Far Lone Sails, stuff like that, where you're again trying to keep that machine running. This seems like it'll be a lot more intense. But it's that kind of vibe, and it's got like the PS1 throwback sort of stuff as well. Hey, Doomtrain Inc. Very cool. It's a bit of Barrow trauma to it as well, I think. All right, Cabernet. Cabernet is what if you are vampire, and now you need to live as vampire. That's it. That's kind of it. Sure, I'm here for it. There's a bunch of other weird occult stuff going on as well. You need to keep up appearances. You know, everyone thinks you're mortal or whatever. You need to hide the fact that you're actually a vampire. You can kill cute rabbits as well, I suppose. anything, honestly, anything with vampires in it, I'm probably here for it. Works for me. I think that was the last one. That was the last one. Okay. Who cares about Starfield? Nobody cares. Go away, Starfield. You're drunk. How do I go back? Cool. All right. Then we had the Xbox partner preview showcase. So this is games that Microsoft currently have not bought, I guess. From game studios they haven't bought yet. So Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, which is going to be technically Like a Dragon 8, showed off Dondoko Island, which is going to be a minigame as part of the game. It's basically Animal Crossing. So they've somehow managed to just shove Animal Crossing into Like a Dragon, so that game is going to be enormous now. Icaro Will Not Die is from the developers of Power Wash Simulator. But before that, Future Lab were also known for a pretty fast-paced game called Velocity, which was a combination shmup and side-scrolling shooter type thing. So Icaro is going back to more of that kind of thing. So if you're looking for a, chill vibes only type of game, this won't be it. This is going back to their Velocity days instead. So this is a fast-paced arena brawler type thing. You play Icaro, you're on the run for some reason. This is a kind of stylized trailer, but kind of general gist is you're dropped into these rooms, these arenas with different enemies to take them out in cool and stylish ways while not getting killed yourself. And then it's interspersed with running sections, which is like mostly parkour and stuff like that. Velocity is a lot of fun. Velocity 2X is a really fun game. Icaro, I think, is going to be down the lines of a roguelike kind of thing, or roguelite. We'll see how it works out. Still Wakes the Deep had an actual gameplay trailer for a change. So up until now, we've only had sort of atmospheric shots for this game. So this is the next game from the Chinese room, the people behind Everybody's Gone to the Rapture. So it looks, they really go in for their photogrammetry, realistic environments kind of thing. This one is set in the North Sea, so off the coast of Scotland. So it's basically hell. And you are stranded on this collapsing oil rig in the 1970s at some point. And some weird shenanigans are going on, as evidenced by this giant flower that is grown out of the sea. Just normal things happening. I think it's a flower, anyway. I know, kind of hard to tell. It's not a whole lot shown off in this trailer. It does kind of give you a bit of an idea of the atmosphere they're going for. This is the under the oil rig section. They have another bit where you're like deep in the bowels of it, I guess. What would the bowels of an oil rig be? Would it be like right at the bottom where the drill is, or is it like at the top? Sorry, I pressed that button by mistake. Anyway, then we crawl over this beam and we skip to this bit. So this is our interior thing. You obviously won't be able to hear this because I mute the videos, but what's going on here is there is some kind of altercation going on in the background. Scary noises that may not be human. Some of them sound human, some of them don't. And also what you're missing is the character we're playing is Scottish. So they're saying like shite and oh feck's sake and stuff like that. It's like hilarious. It's probably not supposed to be hilarious, but it's hilarious. But yeah, Still Wakes the Deep. I don't think it has a release date yet. So I'm gonna skip. Early next year at some point. RoboCop Rogue City has since come out, so I'm gonna skip past that. Spirit of the North 2. I don't know why Spirit of the North has a sequel, but okay, because I'm pretty sure it told its story the first time. But all right, sure, knock yourselves out. So the original Spirit of the North is a bit like Journey, kinda. It's Journey, but you're a fox, and it's the North. So like Canada, basically, but not really. Fantasy Canada, I guess. This time around, there's also a bird. Okay, but you're still playing the fox, and I think the bird is mostly there for just new mechanics and stuff like that. I kind of get the feeling that they just wanted to make the first game again. Because it looks dramatically better than it used to. Like, very realistic environments. First time around, it was very stylized. This time, it's going for a lot more realism-ish. Still obviously fantasy-based, but I'm kind of... Okay, to be honest, I'm kind of into the game just for this Let's see if I can find it again. Just for the bit where the bird drags the fox across this. I'm here for the game just for this. Honestly, I'll play the game just to see that animation. Anyway, Spirit of the North 2 release date, no, coming soon. So you're gonna see just Xbox on these. It's the Xbox partner preview. It's gonna be on PlayStation as well, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. All right, Metal Gear Solid Delta, or Metal Gear Solid Green Triangle, as they're calling it here. Snake Eater, the Snake Eater remake. They showed off more of the environment. And this trailer, if anything, is more of an indication that Kojima is very much gone and is very much not part of this project at all whatsoever. Because he would not allow a trailer like this to come out. He would not allow a trailer with, like, no hype, no craziness, no weird story shit going on, nothing like that. It's just all, here's the environment, here's how nice it looks. What's interesting there is that Snake, all muddied up, but his weapons aren't. Not cool, Konami. I know. Trying to do Snake Eater without Kojima is absolute tantamount to sin. It looks nice, sure. It's Unreal Engine 5. They're getting a lot of that just from the engine. What I am noticing, there's weird blurring around Snake. And I don't know what that is. I'm not sure if it is YouTube artifacting. It could well be. It could well just be YouTube does weird shit with like small itty bitty changes. So that could be the issue, or it could be some weirdness going on with their motion blur mechanics or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, this trailer is very unhyped. It's just showing you off some different environments that you may have played through when you played the game originally, if you did. Like that bit, because that's where I stopped my Let's Play. It was like, fuck that section. I did a Let's Play of Snake Eater and Sons of Liberty and the original Metal Gear, where I was trying to do the whole thing stealth. Ghost mode, nobody saw me. Or if they did see me, I took them out immediately. That's when I know that's when it gets good, but I was like, I cannot get through there without being seen. It was pissing me off so much. And I went, I'll take a break and I'll come back to it later. And I did not come back to it. I did not come back to it. So we'll have to remedy that at some point. Man of the Rewards strategy game. Nobody cares. The Finals is a free-to-play team-based competitive shooter, yada yada yada. It's using generative AI for its broadcasters and stuff like that, so we're not going to give that the time of day. And Ark is a thing. If you like Ark, you already know what's going on there. And Alan Wake 2 is already out, so we can skip all of that stuff. Moving on. Something's making noise. What's making noise? What have you done? God damn it, Metal Gear. I'll get to you later. Leave me alone. Alright. Updates. Alright, so outside of the Indie Horror Showcase and the Xbox partner preview kind of thing, there were some smaller updates that came out. So Phasmophobia's console delayed again. Lol. Of course it was, because it's never coming out. We promised it would be worth the wait. Yeah, sure you do. Another delay. It's supposed to be coming to console early access, which should never be a thing. It should never be allowed to be a thing. Hopefully this game never comes out on console and it never becomes a thing, but whatever. It's supposed to be August, then it's supposed to be October, now it's going to be next year at some point, I think. Or is it indefinite? Kinect Games hasn't given an update yet. It's indefinite. They don't know. Eventually. Hopefully it'll be when the game is actually done and we don't have to do this early access stuff on console. Because the whole point of why you would buy a console, right? And the whole differentiator between PC game players and console game players was that you put the game in the console, it works. You don't have to give a shit about video cards and compatibility and NVIDIA and AMD drivers and shit like that. That was never a problem. It goes in, works, fine, done. When you start throwing early access into it, you're blurring the line a little bit now. So we don't want that. We don't want to be blurring that. PC gamers can put up with that shit. Console gamers don't put up. That was the whole point. That was the whole marketing push for consoles in the first place, was that you don't have to put up with the PC shit. It'll just work. Anyway, moving on. Crow Country. Crow Country is the next game from the developers of Snipper Clips. So this is a fairly massive departure for them. Snipper Clips is like a really fun Switch game where you like use fake scissors to cut out shapes to make puzzles and stuff like that. Crow Country is Parasite Eve, kind of. So it's an interesting, it's like an isometric survival horror type thing. There is a trailer. Well, there is a trailer, obviously, but there's a demo out for it as well that I've played through. It's a lot of fun, if a little bit hard. There is an easy mode as well that I haven't played, but I played through on the regular mode. But yeah, it's kind of difficult. Anyway, you go to Crow Country, which is this dilapidated amusement park. You're playing an FBI agent, even though you don't look like it. You are playing an FBI agent, and you have to do standard Resident Evil survival horror type deals. But I really dig the art style. I am enjoying a lot of these PS1 throwback demake kind of things. I'm enjoying seeing them and playing through them, even if they are extremely janky. Anyway, that's Crow Country. There's a demo out on PC, Steam, Epic, PlayStation. I don't know about probably Xbox. I don't know about Switch. Anyway, you can check that out. 2023's best Souls-like is getting DLC and a sequel, so big shock. Lies of P did really well, so obviously they're gonna bank on that and go, cool, we'll just make a sequel so and make even more money. So DLC and a DLC expansion, as well as eventually a fully fledged sequel. Our highest priority is developing the DLC and working on our sequel right now. That's kind of all. That's all the news. There's no word on when the DLC is coming out or the sequel or anything like that. Mostly this was, hey, this game did a lot better than we thought it was. Cool, go make some DLC while we figure out what we're going to do with the sequel. I haven't played the game. I've played the demo. I haven't finished the game, obviously, because of that as well, so I don't really know what state the game is left in for a sequel. Is there room for a sequel? Are they just going to do a different character or something like that? I don't know. I obviously wouldn't be able to tell you, but hey, it would do one thing. For all of the comparisons it gets to Bloodborne, it would be able to do one thing Bloodborne hasn't done, and that's the sequel. Son of a bitch. Moving on. Mass Effect continued its blue ballsing of Mass Effect fans for N7 Day, so they set out another Mass Effect teaser that tells us absolutely nothing. Mostly this teaser is just to keep people on the hook, and then also to distract from the fact that former workers at BioWare are currently picketing the company on N7 Day. That was kind of what they were going for, so I guess they got this out to sort of distract from it. So any news that you search for N7 or Mass Effect on that day or whatever, you would get this trailer and not the news about the picketing workers. Anyway, again, the game is not coming out for, I don't know, 5 years? Something like that. They're not even actively working on it. I know everyone's on Dragon Age right now. So, I don't know, 2029 or something ridiculous like that. And Eurogamer has crashed. Oh, I can draw a picture. That's cool. Okay, no, there we go. Okay. Right, so I was debating whether or not to talk about this because it's, I mean, in one way it's video game news, in another way it's not video game news. So I don't know. I was kind of debating whether or not to do it, but whatever. It's a big enough story that we probably should. All right, so Nintendo is developing a live-action Legend of Zelda movie. It will take its time until its completion, so they haven't stipulated when exactly it will come out. It's apparently been in development for many years. Miyamoto himself will produce the movie along with Sony's Avi Arad, who is responsible for many hit films, apparently. Citation needed on that, because Avi Arad is probably most well known for right now the Spider-Verse films. So the animated Spider-Man, 2 films, and the 3rd film is eventually on its way. He's a producer on that. However, he's also been attached to the Uncharted adaptation, Morbius, and the live-action Ghost in the Shell. So yeah, there's a track record there. Oh god. I think he was also somewhat involved in the later Blade films. I like Blade 2, I do. But I wouldn't say it's a great film. And Blade 3 is, Jesus Christ, it's like the worst film possible. Alright, then we have some news on who might be doing the screenplay. So we have Derek Connolly. Screenplay contributions include Jurassic World, Detective Pikachu, Kong Skull Island, will be pending the Zelda adaptation. So, I don't know. Okay. Yeah, I'm more worried than hype about this. Anyway, it'll be a while before we have anything more to say about that. Night in the Woods devs cancel highly anticipated follow-up. So, Revenant Hill, which was going to be their follow-up to Night in the Woods, has had to be cancelled. As one of the main developers has developed a medical issue, severe heart failure. That basically means they just won't be able to work on the game for the next, who knows? So instead of just leaving people on the hook for it, they've decided to just cancel things indefinitely. So the game, Revenant Hill, is effectively cancelled, as both the main developer and their partner, who also worked on the game, will be obviously not working on the game for the future because of this developer's health. And the third member of the team, I believe, is an art director and music. Obviously can't do any of the coding, so they've decided to just break up effectively as well. It's a bit of a shame. Night in the Woods, I thought it was fine. I do know a lot of people really, really liked it though, so it's a shame for them. Obviously, it's a shame for the developer as well to develop such a debilitating medical issue, but that's not great. It's not great news. Anyway, Steam Deck. There's a new Steam Deck in town. The Steam Deck OLED, recently shown off. Night in the Woods was so boring. Sorry, not sorry. Fair enough. Like I said, some people thought it was okay, like me. Some people thought it was incredible, like a lot of people. And then there's Doom Training who thought it was boring. Thought it was boring. All right, anyway. Steam Deck OLED is, I believe, available for pre-order now and will be launching like next week. It's like really soon. They just sort of went, yeah, oh yeah, by the way, we made an OLED version. You guys interested in that? And then everybody went insane. So there's like a fair few decent upgrades to it. It's not just the screen. It's got a new generation processor. It's got a faster SSD. The display is obviously a little bit bigger, and also is OLED, obviously, and also can do HDR. Depending on whether or not you actually use your Steam Deck outside of the dock or not, this may mean nothing to you. The screen, for instance, means very little to me, but I would actually be interested in a faster processor for it. The battery can also extend out to 50 watt hours instead of 40, and its wireless is a tri-band instead of a dual band, so you may have noticed in some of my PC game Steam Deck streams that the Wi-Fi cuts out fairly often. I would say the Wi-Fi for the Steam Deck is not great. So hopefully the tri-band change will make that a little bit different. So it's adding the AX band, the auxiliary band. It's also a bit lighter. Tiny bit. Not a whole lot, but it's a tiny bit lighter. Yeah, so basically if you don't have a Steam Deck, obviously, and you're interested in getting one, yeah, the OLED would be the one to go for. If you already own a Steam Deck, how much does HDR mean to you? If it doesn't mean much, I'd wait. They did mention that like Steam Deck 2 or Steam Deck version 2, whatever they end up deciding to call it, is on the way. It's just a few years out. I'd probably just wait, to be honest. I mean, the actual screen on the Steam Deck means very little to me because I don't really play it outside of the dock. And if I do, I'm playing it in bed, so HDR wouldn't mean anything to me either. It'll fucking blind me probably before I go to bed. That's not a whole lot useful to me. And then, okay, speaking of Steam and your shameful game library, Steam will soon let you hide the games you play, not just the porn games, Kotaku. It'll let you play any game. If you don't want anybody to know that you play Overwatch 2, you'll be able to hide it. All right, so eventually Steam, Valve will allow you to mark a game as private, so not even your closest Steam friends will know what you've got tucked away in your ever-expanding game library. With this update, I can finally hide every game I own so people don't know I buy games and never play them, of course. Exactly. I can stop using my alt account. Precisely. Yeah, so there's a lot of like community quotes here from like people obviously going, now you can finally buy our games, you know, from like a porn developer game. Or Counter-Strike is filth, I don't want anybody to know I play that, and so on and so forth. This feature is not available yet. This is like available to some beta users, so it's on the way. Eventually, if you need that to be done. I'm kind of curious though, if you decide to gift a game to somebody, will it then tell you that they already own it, even though they're hiding it in the library? I do gift games to people every now and then, so I would be curious about that. I don't gift porn games to people though, so that probably shouldn't be an issue. Yes. I don't yet gift porn games to people. Alright, anyway. Moving on. So, since I've been away a while, there have been some monthly games updates. So, the Xbox Game Pass, this says coming soon. At this point, you already have the games. We'll go through them anyway. So, we have Frog Detective, which is a really good detective game. It's very funny, very tongue-in-cheek kind of thing. F1 Manager 23. I guess if you're really into... It's not even if you're really into F1. If you're into just the stats shit in F1, there you go. Knock yourself out. Headbangers is a kind of... It's kind of a rhythm-based battle royale kind of thing. So if you don't really like the kind of shooter-style battle royales or the Fall Guys kind of things that are a bit more dexterity-based, you have a rhythm-based version of it. I don't know how that wouldn't be dexterity-based. If anything, it's even more dexterity-based, but okay. Anyway, that's the deal with Headbangers. Jusant, we actually did play a little bit as part of Steam Next Fest. It's out already, came out on Halloween. It is a climbing game. To make it as simple as possible, you're starting out the game at the bottom of a big mountain. Presumably the end of the game is the top of the big mountain, and you climb it. And gradually you understand some different things about the people who live there. And there's some other weird like fantasy stuff going on in the background. Mineko's Night Market is a little bit Stardew Valley, a little. So the idea with Mineko's Night Market is you're spending the week getting ready for the market on the weekend with your family. So you're like, you know, finding little curios that you can sell, or cooking up things, or growing plants and stuff like that that you can sell at the market. As you might imagine with the Neko bit, cats everywhere. There's a lot of cats all over the place. And then there's some kind of mysterious forest guardian giant cat thing that you are both trying to find and hide and save all at the same time. It's a very strange game. The reviews for it were kind of whatever. It's okay. Could be better. The Dead Space remake is now available on Game Pass as well, so if you've managed not to buy it up till now and you have Game Pass for either console or PC, now you'll be able to play it. Or you should be able to play it right now. And then City Skylines, on PC at least, is on Game Pass. City Skylines 2, as well as its... I had heard that they had outsourced some of their people models to another company to build for them instead, while they worked on the cities bit, the bit that people actually care about. And there was a story going around that they used some kind of generative AI tool to build some of these models, and that the generative AI gave the models teeth, hundreds of polygons or something ridiculous. I think that story has been debunked now, but at the time I heard it, I was like, this is hilarious. It would not surprise me, but okay. We did a project when I was in university, and we were making a game. It was like an infinite runner type thing because they were popular at the time. And I was working on the background code, you know, to get the guy to jump and slide and this kind of stuff and do flips and that kind of thing. And another person on the team was working on the character models. So at the time, I just had a blob that kind of jumped about the place while he worked away on the model. And when it came back, like his foot had like 1 million polygons or something. I was like, what the fuck? What are you doing? This is way too complicated a model. It was like, we had to simplify it like hugely. It was hilarious. Because we were trying to figure out, why is it running so slow? Once we add this model in, what is it about this model that's made things run so incredibly slow? And we look into it and it's like, yeah, the foot alone has like 1 million polygons in it. Anyway, we had to undo that. I think the problem is that he was using ZBrush to make it, and ZBrush just adds polygons wherever it goes. Anyway, moving on. PlayStation Plus monthly games for November will have dropped already. At the time this story came out, it was still news. Pretty disappointing this month. Mafia 2, the Definitive Edition, is generally seen as a worse version of the original Mafia 2. Aliens Fireteam Elite is a Left 4 Dead type thing, but Aliens, again, it's sort of a live service type thing. So, you know, an always online, daily grind kind of thing that I'm not really into. And we have Dragon Ball The Breakers, which seemed like a really good idea. I think the kind of issue they were going to have is that you don't get to play as any of the characters in Dragon Ball that people like. You don't get to play as Goku, Gohan, Bulma. Well, I don't know. You do get to play as Bulma. You know, Cell, Frieza, any of them. You know, you're playing as the bit characters, basically. Characters you don't even know the names of. Yamcha, Bulma, and then whatever the pig guy's name is. I think Krillin, you play as Krillin as well, something like that. The idea is it's 4v1. I think, yeah, it's 4v1. The one is like the big bad enemy, Cell, Frieza. What's his name? Boo. And then you're playing as the 4 different characters, and they're basically underpowered or no powered human beings who are just trying to survive. So Dead by Daylight kind of thing. But yeah, it's another live service type deal. So who cares? All right, moving on. Those are some of the games you can play eventually, and some of them right now. But what if you wanted to play something right now? Okay, so a lot of games came out while I was off, so we're gonna do these fairly rapid fire, or as much as Chrome will allow me to do rapid fire. So the first is The Invincible. The Invincible is like a pulp novel, space exploration kind of thing. You're marooned on Mars. Or not marooned on Mars. I think it's just something has gone wrong to your space station on Mars, and now you're trying to get from point A to point B, and there's all sorts of crazy shenanigans going on. But it's got a sort of retro 80s aesthetic thing going on with the different technology. I was not able to play the demo. The demo was PC only, and the Steam Deck was like, nope, I'm not playing that. So I don't know. But again, reviews for it have been like, it's fine for the first half, and then the game stops holding your hand, and you're like, I don't know what to do anymore. So I don't know. It depends. If you're okay with the game not holding your hand, you might be all right with it. Anyway, that's The Invincible. And we have Star Ocean, the Star Ocean 2 remake, aka the only good Star Ocean game. So the Star Ocean 2, or Star Ocean the second story, is like one of the best JRPGs ever made. And people were like, wow, I should really get into the Star Ocean series after that. And they're like, no, you shouldn't. You really shouldn't. Just stay with this one. It's using the HD 2D aesthetic that you've seen in things like Octopath Traveler, Triangle Strategy, Bravely Default. It's really interesting art style where they, really buff up the backgrounds. They really go out with the like modern lighting and modern shading and stuff like that, but they keep like the pixel art from older games, and it's just gives it a really interesting art style. The second story has 2 protagonists. You can play from either this kind of interstellar traveler kind of thing, or from a native of the planet. There's not a huge amount of difference to the story. There's some different interactions and stuff like that. But yeah, it's a very, very good game. And if you've never played it, you should. And if you've never played it and you like JRPGs, yes, get in on that. Get in on the action. RoboCop Rogue City will be on the channel at some point. You can probably see it under my face as coming soon. When will that be? I don't know, but soon. Anyway, RoboCop Rogue City, first-person RoboCop game. Again, reviews from what I've seen of it is it's a lot of fun for like the first 3 quarters or so, where you're pretty much unkillable. And you're just, just living out the fantasy of being RoboCop until you get to the part where, oh, now the game actually wants to challenge me? Damn it. I didn't want to be challenged. I think this trailer is mostly just story stuff. A little bit of gameplay. Why does RoboCop have a shotgun? He does not need... He only needs 1 gun. He comes with the gun he needs. That's it. He doesn't need anything else. Anyway, I think probably around the time the big turrets, the EDs show up, the ED 209s show up, that's probably when things start to become actually problematic. Ah yes, shoot the guy in the balls too. Brilliant. Anyway, that's RoboCop. We'll get to it at some point. Jusant, which we talked about in the Steam Next Fest and just recently there in the Game Pass kind of thing. It's a climbing game. You go from the bottom of the mountain to the top of the mountain. I forgot that. It's from Don't Nod, the guys who are behind Life is Strange, Vampire, Remember Me, and a bunch of other things. And there's some weird fantasy shit going on with this weird blob creature that is traveling with you. Anyway, more on that later. That's another game that will probably be on the channel at some point. Lunacid. Okay, so Lunacid is an interesting one. So this is kind of a throwback to the kind of games From Software used to do. Oops. Kind of games From Software used to do before Armored Core became a big thing for them, and before Tenchu became a big thing for them, and then eventually Dark Souls and so on. So Lunacid is kind of a throwback to a game types like King's Field. Oh, there's another one, something Tower. I can't remember the name of it. But it's first person Dark Souls, basically. It even has a even has a little bit of Bloodborne going on there with Lunacid, so they know what they're doing. They know it's meant to be first person Souls, first person Bloodborne-y type things. And we get into some gameplay. So you can see here, it is going for the throwback PS1, PS2 style stuff, because that's where those games are from. I don't think there's been a new Kingsfield in quite a long time. They're very slow paced, very slow to animate, and extremely cheap enemies. You just die almost immediately in a lot of these, at least in the old games. I don't know if Lunacid is maybe a little bit different. But yeah, if you wanted to know what From Software was like before Armored Core and before Souls and so on, you can have an idea of what it's like there. Anyway, what have we got? Alan Wake 2, of course. This video may be inappropriate. Well, we're all adults here, right? If you're not an adult, stop watching. Alright, 18s. Yeah, Alan Wake 2, I mean, a lot's been said about it. Apparently it's like the best survival horror game ever, according to some people. Or since Resident Evil 4, or since Resident Evil 4 Remake, which is only this year, or whatever. It's a very good game, allegedly. And I will get around to playing it at some point, but I still have to play through the original. And like the Control DLC and Max Payne and a bunch of other stuff. It's going to be a while before I get to Alan Wake 2, but we'll get to it on the channel at some point. Chances are you will have played it by the time I actually get to it, so you won't have to worry about spoilers at least. But Alan Wake 2, you have two protagonists. You're playing Alan, obviously, and then another character whose name I do not remember. I don't think they were in the original game. Anyway, there's some interspersing with live action cutscenes, kind of like the original game had a little bit of that as well. Not so much full cutscenes, but they're sort of like little video snippets played on TV. And Control does that as well, to be fair. I think that's just a Remedy thing. They just sometimes throw in live action stuff for the laugh. Because they just feel like it. Anyway, Alan Wake 2, is that it? Is that the last one? No. Oh, we're not even halfway through the new releases. Jesus Christ. Okay, we're gonna have to speed this up. Right, World of Horror. Junji Ito, the guy behind a lot of the weird Japanese horror shit that you've seen. He was also responsible for a lot of the Silent Hill things. World of Horror has been in early access on PC for a long time. It's now done. 1.0 is out. It's a bit of a roguelike kind of thing, where you're just sort of trying to get through a bunch of these horrible stories that Junji Ito sends your way, and trying to not make the mistakes that get you killed. Anyway, let's skip past that before that happens. The Metal Gear Solid Master Collection, which is Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, and 3, as well as Metal Gear 1 and 2, I think. Snake's Revenge. I believe they're also included in the collection. There is some data mining done on it that there's probably going to be a Master Collection 2. Big shock. I mean, it's called Master Collection Volume 1. One wants to assume a Volume 2 is on the way as well. It's not clear what will be in Volume 2. Hopefully Metal Gear Solid 4, because that is kind of difficult to play nowadays, as it's somewhat locked to the PS3. And PS3 emulators aren't exactly amazing, so we'll see. Getting that off the PS3 in and of itself is a good enough thing. I know the Master Collection isn't getting great reviews, mostly because of some performance things that Konami have decided to do for PC. I'm not sure why. It's 720p on PC for some reason. 30 FPS. Probably coming from the PAL versions of these things, because they never seem to hold on to the NTSC versions. Who knows why? They're still great games, even with those kind of issues. They're still amazing games, and if you've never played them, go watch my Let's Play of it. But if you don't want to do that, and you actually do want to play the games instead, go do that, because they're great. They're really good games. Alright. I think we're past the halfway mark. What the fuck was that? Slay the Princess. Okay, Slay the Princess is also a game that's been out on... I don't think it's been in early access exactly, but there's been a demo of it out on PC for a good while now. It kind of starts with the premise of a fairly straightforward fairy tale kind of thing, where you've been asked to slay the princess, Snow White style, and you decide not to, and that's supposed to be a good thing, but it turns out actually, no, it was a bad thing. You really do need to kill her. She's like some kind of eldritch horror thing. And you go, okay, shit, okay, I'll go back, and then you go back, and all sorts of horrible things start happening. You end up in a sort of Groundhog Day type thing of not being able to kill her, kind of thing. It's good. It's good shit. Spider-Man 2. You get to play as the Spider-Man. Spider-Men? What's the plural of Spider-Man? Anyway, you get to play as the two of them. I'm sure you've seen reviews and what have you. It's whatever. It's good. Go play it. let's just continue. Super Mario Wonder. Yeah, I played a lot of this on my break. It's excellent. It's just really good. It's just a really, really good 2D Super Mario Brothers. I mean, what else can be said about it? If you have a Switch, you should be playing it. That's it. That's all I gotta say about that. I don't think I paused Spider-Man. It doesn't want to play anyway, so that's alright. Okay, moving on. I may have killed YouTube. I think I've killed YouTube. Hang on. Alright, now it's back. Alright, the 7th Quest VR. So the 7th Quest is a very old live action point and click type things. Have you tried Wonder Online multiplayer? I have not tried the online yet. From what I know, it's not as good as New Super Mario Brothers Online, in that you can't troll other people, basically. So debatable whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, but you can't like jump on their head and drop them into a pit anymore. Debatable if you thought that was a good thing or not. I thought it was. You should be able to interact with people. It also means you can't pick them up and throw them either, though. So you can't like help people get over platforms and stuff like that either. It's a bit of a shame. In one way, it's like anti-trolling stuff, but another way, you kind of lose that kind of interaction. Anyway, I haven't played it myself yet, so I don't know how exactly it plays out. Anyway, 7th Guest. The original was a kind of live-action point-and-click adventure kind of thing. The 7th Guest VR is a remake done entirely in VR instead, and it's using this kind of volumetric video kind of thing to give the people the appearance that they're 3D, even though it's still 2D video. It kind of works. It does kind of work. And the puzzles themselves are also really interesting, so it's something to check out. It says Quest there. It's just the trailers from their channel. It's on PSVR 2 as well. This is Vlad the Demented, or Vlad the Circus Demented, or something like that. This was in the Steam Next Fest, but I didn't get to play it as part of our stream. I later played it off stream instead. It's kind of got a bit of a Alone in the Dark feel to it, like the original Alone in the Dark game. So it's kind of pixel art, survival horror, haunted house kind of thing. You play Vlad, who is recovering from a traumatic event where the circus he worked in erupted in flames. Potentially done by the owner of the circus. I don't think it was ever cleared, or the owner's brother, or something like that. You're suffering from like PTSD and things like that. But eventually there's like a, what do you call it? I can't think of the word now. Reunion, that's the word. Where all of the former like acts of the circus kind of all get together, because there's going to be like a relaunch of the circus and things like that. And when everybody gets together, some of your trauma comes back and you start remembering things, or maybe you're just going crazy, whatever. I thought it was really good. It's really well written. The demo was kind of short, and to be fair, I was lost a lot trying to figure out what to do, but I thought it was really good. Yeah, I couldn't remember what it was called. Vlad Circus Descended to Madness. Yeah, this will probably be on the channel at some point because I really like the look of it. Sonic Superstars, possibly the best Sonic game ever, or good God, what is this shit? I don't know. It depends. It depends what kind of Sonic fan you are, I guess. I'm not really. I mean, I like the games, but I wouldn't call myself a Sonic fan necessarily. Rather ironically, I find them too fast. I don't really know what's going on most of the time. And And I guess I like to take my time with games, and Sonic is very much a game where, what are you doing taking your time? Just go. Go fast. Hurry up. What's taking so long? Why haven't you finished the level yet? And so on and so forth. I think this is mostly showing off the battle mode kind of stuff. But the Superstars thing, it looks really nice. It's kind of like a modern version, but also a bit of a throwback to the original games. You can't just say your game is super fun. You can't just say that. That's marketing. They're not even trying anymore. Alright, and our last one, Like a Dragon Gaiden, the man who raised his name. This is kind of like a fun intermediary game between Like a Dragon 7 and Like a Dragon 8. Because it's going to take a while before it's out. You are not Kiryu, because he raised his name. It's not him anymore, it's somebody else. It's kind of like what if James Bond was Japanese, kind of. Because you get all these sorts of weird secret agent gadgets and stuff. That definitely would not work in real life, but okay, but who cares? This is Yakuza, nobody cares. Yeah, from what I've seen from the trailers, feels like it's a bit rushed and maybe a bit grindy. It's not super surprising because the game was made in like 1 year or 1.5 years or something like that. Possibly it was going to be DLC. I don't know. We'll see. The Yakuza games are particularly grindy anyway, so I'd be curious if it's like very grindy over and above the typical grind you expect from those kind of games. Who knows? Why aren't you pausing? Pause, please. Thank you. Alright, I think that was it. Alright, that's it for our new releases. Right. Unfortunately, Jesus, for nearly an hour in, we're only getting to industry bullshit. It's now time for the worst parts of video games. The video game industry. So, Modern Warfare 3 devs complained of crunch, rush development. So, this is largely coming from the fact that Modern Warfare 3 is probably the lowest reviewed COD game. Possibly ever. Certainly in a long time. And the reasons behind that is it was actually supposed to be DLC. And then Activision execs just said, nah, make it a full game. We're not going to give you any more money or any more time or anything, but make it a full game now instead. Alright, so it was developed in just 16 months through periods of crunch and communications issues with Infinity Ward. So Sledgehammer Games would have been responsible for Modern Warfare 3, whereas Infinity Ward would be responsible for Modern Warfare 4 or Black Ops, whatever the next one is. Or I don't know, I don't follow it. But the idea is they have 2 or 3 studios working on Call of Duty. So that they can have a new one every year. They rotate developers. So that they still get a 3-year cycle to work on their game, but a new COD can still come out every year. That's kind of the idea. But for whatever reason, they said, no, you gotta get your one out now instead. So this is cited by several anonymous members of the development team that it was built in less than half the time that is usually required for a full Call of Duty game. This is because it was supposed to be DLC. They worked nights and weekends to finish the game, probably for no extra pay, because that's the video game industry. Developers said they felt betrayed. They were promised they would not have to do that again, face another shortened development cycle after the last time when they worked on Call of Duty Vanguard, which was similarly built under constrained conditions. They were promised at the time that won't happen again. But it fucking happened again, didn't it? Maybe you guys should get together and negotiate and get it written down in some sort of legal document that it won't happen again, or things will happen. Maybe if you guys collected together in some sort of worker group thing. There's got to be a shorter name for that. Anyway, it'll come to me. It allegedly started out as an expansion to 2002's Modern Warfare 2 to fill the gap between what was, I guess, going to be Modern Warfare 3 or whatever the Black Ops one is or whatever. An Activision spokesperson denied it was ever going to be an expansion and that it was always going to be in Modern Warfare 3. However, the vast majority of developers have said that they were always under the assumption it was going to be an expansion. The game was reportedly planned as a smaller scale expansion set solely in Mexico to make it easier to complete within the shorter development cycle, but Activision executives reportedly instructed the team to make it a direct sequel last summer, aka 6 months ago. Not even 6 months ago. So, or last summer, I suppose. Giving them a year, I guess. They expressed frustration at requiring content approval by Infinity Ward's executives, which, as you might imagine, took forever. Infinity Ward being the kind of owners, if you like, of the Call of Duty IP. You sort of have to get sign off from them if you're going to do different things with the story or with the characters or with the game mechanics or whatever. They need to have sign off, and because they're executives, they obviously don't get back to you in any speed whatsoever. This resulted in the game receiving the lowest scores in the series, the lowest scores in the series' 20-year history. So it might actually be the lowest reviewed. 4 out of 10 from IGN, 5 out of 10 from GameSpot. Well, that's what you get when you only give them half the time and not a clear idea of what you even want them to make. Unsurprising. But hey, Microsoft will put manners on them, right? Microsoft won't do that now that they own it, right? Microsoft aren't known for that kind of thing. Oh god. Anyway, sticking with Activision and Blizzard, Blizzard's president says players have no patience and want new stuff every hour. So I'm not really going to go through this article because it's just him talking about how, oh, but we're able to reach or make the demands for players, or we're able to meet the demands for players because of our great working environment or whatever citation needed. I'm just going to leave this out here because why do you think players have no patience and want things every hour? What possible things have you been doing for the last 8 years in video game development? What could you guys have possibly been doing that has instilled this idea that now players want new stuff all the time? Is this possibly a case of you did this to yourself? You pushed for this. This is what you wanted. Now you're getting it. I mean, I certainly don't want new things every hour. I mean, speaking from a personal standpoint, I would happily be given time to actually finish the games I own and not have new shit every 2 seconds and not have video games feel like a second job that I need to log into after my first job and put the time in. I'd rather not have that, to be perfectly honest. But whatever. Moving on. Alright, Pete Hines. Pete Hines of Bethesda has stepped down, has gone into retirement. As we wait for this to load in. After 24 years with the company, Pete Hines being kind of like the only good part of Bethesda, to be honest, and even then that's a lot of asterisks beside that. Only a few days after Microsoft acquired after they've acquired Activision, Pete Hines has decided to step down. Perhaps they're seeing things going a different way. Perhaps he thinks that he's no longer needed. I don't know. The story is that he's actually retiring from the video game industry completely and is going to spend more time with his family and whatever. Sure, all good. I think he'll be probably kept on as like a consultant or something for different places, but you know, you won't see him come out at the head of a Bethesda presentation anymore to talk about all the things Bethesda are working on. At least he came across at least as, you know, approachable and like actually a video gamer and not some executive suit guy. You know, he came across that way. Whether he actually was or not, I don't know. So it is a bit sad to see that he's leaving. But whatever. Alright, Bungie blames 100 layoffs on players leaving Destiny 2. Wow, you're fired because nobody plays the game anymore because of decisions we made that you had no choice on. But you're fired anyway. Thanks. Appreciate it. Alright, so the studio cut 8% of its staff after taking a 45% hit to its revenue. Studio leadership blamed poor player retention following 2023's disappointing Lightfall expansion for revenue going off a cliff. 45% below projections. So this is the annoying part. It's 45% below projections for the year. Not like 45% less than last year, like historical down. It's 45% of what they thought they should have. They haven't lost money. They just didn't get as much money. Right? That's what I'm reading it as. Anyway, following the release of Lightfall, allegedly player retention tanked at that point, and Allegedly, though, somehow the final shape thing that they're working on, the next deal, the next expansion, is supposed to be the climactic conclusion for Destiny 2's current storyline that practically nobody can play. You cannot play the beginning of Destiny 2's storyline anymore. Because of the way Destiny, or because of the way Bungie handles the story, is that it vaults things. As in, you can't play them anymore. They're no longer accessible. So if you wanted to jump into Destiny now, right? You heard good things about it, I don't know. And you wanted to jump into it and start from the beginning, you can't. You're just dropped in the middle of the story. Unlike every other MMO going. And somehow they think that they wouldn't lose people doing that. That people wouldn't come in and go, all that stuff I did previously is pointless because it's all gone. You've deleted all of it. All of the equipment I gained there is pointless because it's gone and I need to get new stuff. Like, I don't understand how they thought that wouldn't lead to massive problems with player retention. Anyway, that's been delayed. Similarly, Marathon, their next live service type thing, has also been delayed. And because of these decisions that they've made to just shit on the player and any of their progress or any of their attachment to the IP at all, and the players responding by going, okay, I don't care then about Destiny, I'm gonna go play something else. They said, oops, well, now we gotta fire people because I can't take responsibility for my decisions. No, I need to fire you instead. So I can keep my salary, even though I am the one who made those decisions. Anyway, they decided to lay off roughly 100 employees. Employees will receive 3 months of severance and health insurance. However, other benefits run out on November 1st, which has already passed. Bonuses will be prorated, as in it'll be depending on how long you've worked for the company. Those with shares from the Sony acquisition, which wasn't that long ago, they haven't vested yet, which means they don't get them now. They're just gone. So even though they were there when Sony acquired them, and they are entitled to shares from that, because they've been fired within 6 months or whatever, they no longer get them. Or not fired, laid off. They don't get them anymore. So they don't get that. That's great. They put in all the work to make Bungie attractive enough for Sony to acquire it. They should get some of that pay, but they don't. Because some asshole fucked up, and now players don't play Destiny 2 anymore. Anyway, Bungie CEO Pete Parsons wrote out in a tweet something. But yes, they'll continue to be part of Bungie long into the future because of all the work they put into the game. And he was obviously shit on for saying that because no, they're not going to be part of Bungie. You fired them, you asshole. Anyway, speaking of the Sony acquisition, though, Sony acquired Bungie because Destiny at the time was doing well, I guess. And they went, hey, why don't you come on and help us with our 12 fucking live service games we're working on? How's that working out? Well, 6 of them are going to be delayed. So, well, obviously. Bearing in mind, we don't even know what any of these games are. Like, we know like 3 of them, maybe? They're kind of rumors at best. Sony will only release 6 live titles by the end of March 2026, instead of the 12 initially announced. COO and CFO all talking about because Jim Ryan has stepped down as CEO, so he's not going to be talking about anything right now. Also, it's Jim Ryan who was pushing for all these live service games, so potentially they are delaying these 6 games so that they can cancel them and not go all in on live service shit because everyone is fatigued on them at this point and don't want them anymore. I did think this quote was pretty funny from the CFO. He's saying, it's not like we want to stick to certain titles, but game quality should be the most important. Yeah, it's not like Sony wants to stick to certain titles or anything. Has Sony put out an original IP in the last ages? Anything new whatsoever? Have they all been sequels up to this point? They fucking remade The Last of Us, for God's sake. Anyway. of these live service titles that we know of, we're aware The Last of Us has some kind of multiplayer thing going on. That has recently been paused. Don't know if it's still in development. There is something being done at Horizon as a live service thing. Again, not entirely sure what. And London Studio is working on something. We don't know what. Haven Studios, Jade Raymond's thing. The game I can never remember. I just keep calling it Porn Stars because I can't remember the name of the thing. That's also a live service thing. Whether that's one of the things being cancelled or not cancelled. Delayed. We don't know. We don't know which of the games are being paused. But we also don't know what Sony's working on next year. Like, we don't know, first party wise, what's coming out. They've had Spider-Man 2 now, and that's kind of it. They have Helldivers out next year at some point, but that is only published by them. It's not developed first party by them. And then they're hyping up things like Stellar Blade, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and things like that. But again, not first party developed games. So what are the first parties working on? I don't know. It might be a case that through 2024 you get nothing from Sony first party, which would be, one, pretty funny, but two, also very bad. Anyway, moving on. Sticking with Sony though, longtime PlayStation producer Connie Booth has left Sony. Sony has confirmed that is the case, so this is not great, honestly. So Connie Booth has been with Sony pretty much since the beginning, and has worked in production for a lot of the games Sony made their name on, made the PlayStation brand on, stuff like Crash Bandicoot, Spyro the Dragon, Siphon Filter, Ratchet & Clank, Uncharted, Jak and Daxter, Infamous, Resistance, The Last of Us, Spider-Man, Death Stranding. She was part of all of that. Worked on production for all of it. She was also inducted into the Academy of Interactive Arts in 2020 because she was integral in helping produce many beloved Sony Interactive Entertainment titles over the past 25 years. And she's left. We don't know why. Sony just confirmed that, yes, she has left. I think we can possibly guess why, though. Because you're fucking doing live service shit now instead of making actual games that people want to play. And taking 1 billion years to make them instead. But yeah, we don't know why she's left, but we can probably guess. Speaking of live service games that nobody wants, Suicide Squad publisher promises even more live service games. Great, thanks. Right, so this is coming from CEO David Zaslav, who you may know from news stories like, we're going to make a film and then never release it for tax reasons, because we make more money on the tax rebates, aka Batgirl. Or more recently, Coyote versus Acme, same thing. They filmed the whole thing, it's all ready to go, it's ready to be distributed, and then they don't distribute it because they make more money on the tax rather than releasing it. It's not that they make more money, it's that they make guaranteed money versus what they could get from box office returns and what have you. Anyway, this is coming from that guy who said, we're going to focus on creating more always online free-to-play live service games. Great. How did Gotham Knights turn out? Did that turn out well? Do people like it? Or is everybody playing it now? Or is it 4 people in the world are playing it currently? It's the second one, isn't it? Yeah, that's what I thought. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League was shown off earlier this year, and everybody hated it. Everybody hated what they saw. They did not want that. They're like, what the fuck is this shit? This is Fortnite. Fortnite already exists, and hell, people are barely playing that in any days. So, why? It has seen numerous delays, while fans have reacted overwhelmingly negatively to its features, but nah, fuck it, more live service shit. Let's do it. He also made it clear that single-player games like Arkham City aren't really on the menu anymore. Cool. Great. Thanks for that. When's he getting fired? Never? Cool. Alright, Doug Bowser. Nintendo doesn't have unions because of high degree of job satisfaction and engagement. Engagement. But everyone has the right to form a union, you guys. Don't fucking do it, though. Motherfuckers. The reason the company doesn't have unions is because workers have a high degree of job satisfaction and engagement. However... Hang on, we'll get to his actual quote as well. You only have to look at our retention numbers, which are very, very high within the industry and are obviously low turnover rate as a result. Our focus has always been on creating a culture that's inclusive, has a work-life balance, and is focused on our singular mission of bringing smiles to faces. Now, what he has said is true. There is an extremely low turnover rate on Nintendo. More or less, if you get a permanent position at Nintendo, you're pretty much there forever. That's the problem, though. Getting the permanent position. Because Nintendo have a ton of contract workers. Tons of them. Temporary workers that have the dangling, yo, if you do well enough, you'll become a permanent employee of Nintendo, but they never do. They never do. They get shit canned immediately, like almost immediately. You talk about a union, you're gone. Goodbye. See ya. The company has previously been accused of interfering with unionization efforts. One QA contractor was fired after asking about unionization, and Nintendo was ordered to display a notice informing employees that they will not be fired if they start discussing unionizations. A very different picture from the perspective of contract workers at the company was also shown off, or not shown off, but was reported, I think by Kotaku last year, talking about how contract workers are just treated like shit at Nintendo, basically. So yeah, if you can manage to get a permanent position there, they treat you really well. But if you don't have a permanent position there, get fucked. Pretty much. All right, we'll move on from industry bullshit and all the bad things that's going on in the industry, and we'll talk about some of the good things. So, the Xenomorph. The Xenomorph is in Alien Isolation. No, Thomas the Tank Engine is now the Xenomorph in Alien Isolation because it will be funny. Fucking terrifying. Don't come in here. No! Go away, Thomas the Tank Engine. Yeah, and now Thomas obviously kills everybody for no reason. Okay. Fine. Fucking brilliant. Right. Thomas the Tank Engine in Alien Isolation. And then, continuing with the mods, we can then have Melania in Sekiro instead. She always kind of felt like a Sekiro boss anyway. Particularly with the waterfowl dance. That just felt like this is a... She just goes fucking straight into it there. Nuts. Jesus. The guy's stance meter at the bottom, he's nearly stance broken just from one combo. Yeah. The big stab move is also perfect for a Meraki counter as well. I'm getting flashbacks. I'm getting PTSDs from this fucking boss fight. Uh-oh. Why did you unlock, you nutcase? Alright, well, obviously some of the effects don't really work in Sekiro because they're not built in properly, but... Well, it seems like they've brought across the rot as well. Anyway. Pretty cool, and she did always strike me as kind of more of a Sekiro boss than anything else. Alright, Xbox Fan uses Sexy Butt Starfield mod to dunk on Spider-Man 2. So this image was used to kind of show off how the stupid shit that incel gamers come up with like, why are female character models ugly now or whatever, or not sexualized or whatever. And they were trying to say that, look, the one in Starfield is on the right and Spider-Man 2 is meant to be Mary Jane on the left. But they forgot that they actually had the Voluptuous Body for Beauties mod installed on Starfield. You fucking idiots. So no, the Starfield arse does not look like that. Actually, that's a mod. You fucking dumbass. Anyway, dunked on immediately. Speaking of mods though, Capcom warns of reputational damage from mods which violate public order and morals. No, Capcom. These mods help people know about your game. If you're gonna tell me that Stupid Sexy Leon didn't get people talking about Resident Evil 4, you've got another thing coming to you. It's just Capcom being on the wrong side of this whole thing. Their other position is that mods are basically cheats, or that they conflate every mod is a cheat, more or less. So all of their like anti-piracy software or anti-cheat stuff, more or less, they're not going to ever like officially recognize the mod scene, which obviously isn't great. But it is kind of funny that there are so many horny mods, we'll say, for Resident Evil 4 that Capcom had to come out and say something about it. Alright, Silent Hill game disables chat after too many posts about cum. Yeah, is anybody surprised here? So the Silent Hill Ascension game that launched on October, this was meant to be a watch-along kind of thing. So not unlike the Dark Pictures anthology kind of thing, or the Until Dawn sort of stuff, where you could all watch together and then everybody votes on an outcome or something like that. It is disgustingly full of microtransactions and horrible minigame shit and what have you. But alongside that, there is a live chat. And you're meant to use your live chat to like talk about the scene and drop in stickers that you've bought or won or whatever. But no, everybody just started talking about Hideo Kojima's babies and filling you with Kojima cum and stuff like that. It's very funny, and I don't understand how the developers didn't see this coming. Pun not intended. How did you not think this would happen? Because they had no moderation tools whatsoever. They had no way to time out people or ban them or anything like that. So instead, they've just disabled the chat entirely. You can only post stickers or whatever. But it's like, how did you not see this? How did you not see this coming? I don't understand. Moving on. And then the last thing we're going to look at is Bloodborne Kart. So this was kind of posited as a April Fool's joke a couple of years ago. It's like, what do we do after the PS1 demake of Bloodborne? Well, obviously we make Bloodborne Kart. But now it's a game. It's a real game, and it's gonna be coming out soon. So you too can play Bloodborne Kart if you like. With all your favorite characters like the doll and the hunter and Gurman and whatever else you want to. Hilarious. Does it have a release date? No, there it is. Next January. Yeah, at the end of January, you too will be able to play Bloodborne Kart. Also, obviously, only on PC. Right. We got a wealth of new releases to look at. So, what one can we put out? Right. Out of all of those, the only one I've actually played is Mario, so I'm gonna put Mario out. We can loop it. So, that was your monthly news recap for the 16th of October to the 12th of November 2023. Some good shit out of the Indie Horror Showcase from Dread XP. We only talked about a handful of those games. There were way more. It was like a 4-hour live stream. There's loads of games. I'd encourage you to check them out. There's a whole list of them over on Steam. Steam is hosting a kind of collection page for all of them. You can just look Indie Horror Showcase on Steam. You'll find it there. And it'll show off all those games. A lot of them have demos. And there's a good few of them that are already out as well. So you can check them out as well if you feel like it. The Xbox Partner Showcase, a lot of it was games that we kind of already knew about or were coming out pretty soon as it was. Seeing a bit more of Still Wakes the Deep is good. Everybody's Gone to the Rapture wasn't everybody's cup of tea, but I liked some parts of it. So if it leans a bit further into the horror elements, that might be a little bit more interesting. What else was shown off there? Caro Will Not Die, the next thing from Future Lab, looks interesting as well. It's kind of a fast-paced survival thing. God, there's so many things. I actually need to look. Phasmophobia has been delayed. Big shock. Crash Crow Country has a demo out now. It's like a PS1 throwback survival horror thing. Liza P is getting a sequel. The Mass Effect N7 continues to blue balls everybody. Legend of Zelda is getting a live action film at some point. Night in the Woods sequel has been cancelled. Steam Deck OLED thing is available soon, as well as a ton of new releases that we all went through. The reason Modern Warfare 3 has such poor reviews is because they were only given half the time to work on it and weren't really told what the game was supposed to be. Good shit. I'm sure that won't happen again. Bungie fucked up with their player retention things, and because the executives obviously aren't going to fire themselves, they need to fire other people to make up for the projected loss of revenue. Not the actual loss of revenue, the projected one. Which is kind of shit. Anyway, there's a lot of other things there. I'm not going to get to all of them. So let's go and check out our channel update instead. Alright, so here's where we are currently coming into the middle of November and the last month of December. This is our roadmap for what was going to be shown off for the last 6 months. So currently in the process, Monster Hunter World is still going. We have started Stasis, and Code Veronica is on the way. So before I left to go on break, we finished Final Fantasy 16. Overall, I really enjoyed it. It's a really fun game, and I'm still not really over the ending. I'm pretty angry about the ending, to be perfectly honest. It's a good ending, but I'm still angry about it. I'm still fucking thinking about it. Anyway, it's a very good game. I'm happy to hear they're working on some DLC for it. It did have some pacing issues. A lot of pacing issues, to be honest. It's almost like a sine wave for pacing. But yeah, overall I enjoyed it, and we'll be coming back to it as part of the Fully Plays Final Fantasy series at some point, and by then the DLC will probably be out, and the general consensus will probably be out there as well. More people have gotten a chance to play it, might even be out on PC by then. Anyway, that was Final Fantasy 16 as well. We finished, that was the wrong button, wasn't it? Why did I have both of those trays down? I have this down twice for some reason. Anyway. Resident Evil Nemesis. Or Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, the original. We finished that as well before I went on break. Yeah, we had some kind of weirdness with the emulator right at the end. For whatever reason, we couldn't walk into the final boss. The emulator would just stop. So we had to do some shenanigans, which meant the final boss was a bit of a clown show. To be honest, we had the game running at like triple speed or something ridiculous, and Nemesis's animations weren't working properly, and the timer was going down way faster than it normally does. It was a big mess, but whatever. We finally did finish it. We'll come back to it. As I said, we're going to be doing revisits for all the Resident Evil games because the Resident Evil games kind of shine when you replay them with, you know, the stupid things you've unlocked, like unlimited ammo and special characters and special guns and stuff like that. So we will be doing a revisit of Nemesis, and hopefully I will have figured out a solution to the emulator issue at that point. But yeah, we finished with that. Then we have Stasis. So this week we started a new Fully Fables. This is Stasis from the Brotherhood. We are playing John John Melechek, who has woken up aboard the Groom Lake. He did not go to sleep aboard the Groom Lake. He was actually going into cryosleep with his wife and daughter. They were going on holidays somewhere in Europa and Moon of Titan. And when they woke up, or rather when John woke up, his wife and daughter weren't there, and he was on a different ship. So he's trying. Now we have to figure out, why am I on this ship? What's happened to this ship? Why has everything gone to shit? Why are there so many things trying to kill me? Where's the rest of the crew? And so on. We got a little bit of Dead Space going on as well. So far, it's really good. The puzzles are a little bit obscure. There's a little bit of how would I have ever known to do that kind of parts to some of the puzzles, but we're getting through it. So we'll be continuing to play that on Wednesdays, and then Honkai Star Rail we played yesterday as part of the Fully Plays Games a Bit series, where we play newly released games for a bit. Honkai Star Rail is the next game from Hoyoverse, the people behind Genshin Impact. It is a similar free-to-play gacha RPG where you gamble to get waifus or husbandos, depending on which way you go about it. The gameplay is a little bit different. The setting is a little bit different. So Genshin Impact is more of a fantasy action RPG, whereas Honkai Star Rail is a turn-based sci-fi RPG. So it's a lot more like the older JRPG kind of stuff, the older Final Fantasies where every character gets a turn in combat, which I really like. I actually like it a lot more than Genshin's combat. I haven't gotten very far in the story, so I can't say too much about that. But it's very Hoyoverse, and I quite liked Genshin Impact's story, as much of it as I was able to play before I basically hit a brick wall. I'm hopefully not going to hit a brick wall on Honkai Star Rail. Anyway, if you want to see more of that, we played a little bit of it yesterday, and the VOD will be up soon. I haven't got around to uploading it yet, but you can always find it on Twitch for the next 2 weeks or so. Anyway, moving on. So as I said, the next part of our Fully Plays Resident Evil series, we're going to be playing Resident Evil Code Veronica X. The X stands for excellent, I guess. Code Veronica is maybe one of the weaker Resident Evils. It's also one of the few that I only ever finished once. I basically finished it once and went, yeah, I'm not playing that again. And well, shit, I am playing it again. Anyway, we're going to start that on Thursday of this week. Resident Evil Code Veronica was the first fully 3D Resident Evil, I think. So Resident Evil 1, 2, 3, and then Code Veronica. Code Veronica was a PS2 Dreamcast thing, so it was a jump in generations. Whereas Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3 are technically 2D. If you really want to go into it, they're technically 2D. The way the game is built, they're technically 2D games. Anyway, moving on. We'll have a look at that on Thursday. We're going to continue the Fully Plays Final Fantasy series with Final Fantasy 2. We've only really just started that. And to be honest, I don't actually remember where we stopped. So there'll be a little... I think I'm going to have to watch the VOD myself just to remember what I was doing and where I stopped. But anyway, we're going to continue Final Fantasy 2 on Tuesday. And then that, I think, is it. Q. Yep, that's it for the queue. So the schedule for next week then: Tuesday, Final Fantasy 2, Wednesday, Fully Fables, Stasis, Thursday, Fully Plays Resident Evil Code Veronica. No stream on Friday. I was gonna do D&D last week, but I just wasn't feeling very well, and you can probably hear it on my voice. I'm still not really feeling very well. Hopefully this Friday we will get around to play D&D. And then Saturday, I have Code Veronica in there as a placeholder. If I can't think of anything by then, or I'm not arsed playing anything else by then, we'll just double up on Code Veronica stuff. So I would like to get Code Veronica finished before the end of the year, and I would like to get Final Fantasy 3 finished by the end of the year. So that's kind of where I'm at, so that we can start the new year on the Resident Evil 1 remake and the PS2 era Final Fantasies. Sorry, not the PS2. What am I talking about? The Super Nintendo period Final Fantasies. So Final Fantasies 1, 2, and 3 were Famicom, the Nintendo Entertainment System, and Final Fantasy 4 to 6 were the Super Nintendo or the Super Famicom. And then Final Fantasy 7, 8, 9 were PS1, 10, 11, 12 were PS2, and then 13 was PS3. All the 13's games were on PS3. Anyway, whatever, we'll get to that. And then eventually we'll be all the way back to the weekly news recap. We're not doing another monthly one because that's way too much news. Right, So Tuesday, Final Fantasy 2. Wednesday, Stasis. Thursday, Resident Evil Code Veronica. And then Saturday, probably Code Veronica again. I don't know yet. We might do something else. Anyway, that's it from me. That's your news. That's your channel update. And my voice is about to go, so I need to go as well. Hope you have a good rest of your evening. Thanks, Doom Training, for keeping me company there for a little bit until we got into the bullshit. I know not everybody wants to hang around for the industry bullshit. Right. I am going to head off. Have a good rest of your evening, and hopefully see you on Tuesday for Final Fantasy 2. Bye-bye.